In this vlog, we are going to dress up as birds, draw a lake full of fish, have a medieval craft day, talk about the picture book I illustrated, and begin illustrating a new one.
I said she was part of a creepy. Yeah. There she is.
Oh, hello, darling. Welcome to the vlog for the month of June. What did I do this month? As you just saw, I went to an engagement party for my friends. One of whom is British and is moving to the United States in a year's time. So it was bird themed. I forget if I already said that. And because it is the year of America's semi-quincentennial birthday, I went as a bald eagle. We were each supposed to go as our favorite bird, and I was feeling patriotic. Very fun. What else did I do this month? I got horribly ill and I'm still not fully recovered, even though it's been a couple of weeks. So if I'm hacking up a lung for this entire video, sorry, but it's my channel. I can hack up a lung, or two, if I want to. I also started illustrating a picture book this month. That's gonna be the majority of this vlog. A few years ago, I illustrated a picture book with an author by the name of De La Velle Earls, and that is this one. It is called What If? What year did we do this? I think it was 2021, so it's been like half a decade now. Yeah, so I did the majority of the illustrations in 2021, but it wasn't actually published until 2022. And the book that I'm working on this summer is same author, same characters that are in this book. It's just kind of the sister book to this one. I'm not sure if we're giving away the name of the book or anything like that, so I'm gonna keep it confidential because that makes me feel important. And I like that. But I think I can tell you the premise of the book, and if not, I'll just delete this footage and it will never see the light of day. But first, let me tell you quickly about this one so that you understand the context for the second book. So What If follows a little boy who we affectionately just refer to as the kid, and his friend Tinker, who is a robot that is kind of the physical manifestation of the kid's creativity. At the beginning of the book, the kid is feeling a little bit stuck and like his creative juices aren't really flowing. And then Tinker comes along and shows the kid all of these wonderful creations that we have, all because someone asked the question, what if? So, for example, some of the questions that are explored in this book are, yes, one of my favorite pages is, instead of a house, we'd be in dark caves if nobody thought to light the way. We'd still be eating the coldest of foods if nobody said, what if we had fire, dude? Another example, I found a wood. Look, I found a wood. Oh no, she's illiterate. I found this wood. Look, it floats. What if we use it to make a boat? There you go. I found some rope. I know a few knots. They'll work, I hope. Another what if question. So ask what if and look towards the sky. What if one day we could fly? Working through the snow and rain, eventually we'll have a plane. So the story is basically Tinker and the kid working their way through the history of human ingenuity. Is that the word that I'm looking for? Hold on. She hasn't graduated college yet. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Ingenuity, the quality of being clever, original, and inventive. Your girl was right. Your girl's an English major. There's What If for you. If this sounds like a book that you or anyone you know would enjoy, I'll put a link in my description and you can go buy it. I'm very proud of this book and the way it turned out, and every once in a while I'll just pull it off my shelf and look through it and reminisce on the fact that, oh yes, I illustrated this, which is kind of a cool thing to be able to say. That's the first book. And the book I'm working on this summer, now we're following the kid. He's asked all of these questions and he's gained inspiration from all of these things we have because someone asked the question, what if? Now he is setting out to ask his own questions about, what if I made this to solve this problem? But as he's working, he has become stuck and he has failed over and over and over again, which is something I think we can all relate to. This book is more kind of philosophical, like how do you move forward when you're failing over and over again? I won't give away too much about what exactly happens in the book, but I am going to share some of the illustrations with you and the process and my thinking about how I make illustrations for picture books. What have I done thus far? I finished the dummy, which if you don't know what a picture book dummy is, it's a complete book. So the manuscript or the text is in place on the pages, but instead of complete illustrations, it's rough sketches of the illustrations. I'll show you some pictures of the dummy pages for this book. So now it's time to move on to the actual illustrations. For What If, I created these illustrations using Vine charcoal, graphite pencil, black Prismacolor colored pencil, digital edits in Photoshop, and paper texture. Because when the author told me he wanted a grayscale book, I said, that is very cool. I don't see a lot of that in the highly saturated colored picture book market of today. But I did want to add something else visually to make it interesting. So I added these paper textures to create just another interesting visual element for the illustrations. But I do also like the idea of all of the inventions that are discussed in this book, as well as just things that people create in general. A lot of it starts out as just an idea that someone has drawn or written on a piece of paper with a pencil. So the fact that I have both graphite pencil texture and paper texture in this book is kind of, it's to tie into that idea that, oh, all of these wonderful things were created because someone put pencil to paper. And I think I already said this, but the illustration style for the second book is going to be the exact same as What If, which means the process for creating these new illustrations is the exact same process that I used for What If. So I thought it would be fun to show you what my steps are to get an illustration from being a blank piece of paper to something that is ready to be put inside of a book. I'm gonna play some footage of me working on a page from start to finish and talk to you about how I'm using the medium, like how I'm using the graphite pencil to get the effect that I want. And then later in the vlog, with one of the more significant spreads in this new book, I wanna talk to you about my process of coming up with a composition for a more elaborate piece. But let's start with just the basic process. How am I getting it done? So the very first thing I do is I just scrape some Vine charcoal dust onto a piece of paper, and then I rub it around, and this kind of gives me a nice medium value to work on top of. So from there I can add highlights and shadows. I can add highlights by erasing things or adding highlights in Photoshop later. And then as you can see, I'm going in with my pencil and I'm shading, but I'm being very careful to preserve a lot of the pencil lines as I'm working. And really what this step is, when I'm just taking pencil to paper, I'm just creating texture. I'm thinking about lighting and I'm thinking about where my shadows are gonna go later, but this is really just about creating texture. And as you can see, I'm also using my pencil lines to create the illusion of form. So if you look at Tinker, you'll see that I used curved lines just to show, hey, Tinker's a round guy, so he's gonna have some round lines. I continue to add some shading to this little pile of stuff, pile of failures that's building up in the kids' room. And then I go into Photoshop, and this is where I add my light source, my shadows, my highlights. This is where the illustration really comes to life. Some people think that digital edits is cheating, or digital art is cheating and it's not real art. Yeah, here's me going in to make some of those highlights. I totally disagree with that. I think you have to have a pretty good understanding of working with traditional media before you can go into Photoshop and make edits like these. To finish off the illustration, I'm just adding some loose pencil textures, like a pencil outline to the kid and to Tinker, into the pile of stuff, the rubble in the kid's room. Look at those bags under his eyes, poor guy. Yeah, and that's how I make an illustration from start to finish. Was that good? I recorded that all in one take, so I hope that was nice. There's my ear. Yay. What you just saw is one of the first illustrations in the book. Very simple, single page illustration. But as the story progresses and as things become more complex and you're immersed deeper in what's going on with Tinker and the Kid, the illustrations become more elaborate. And so one of the spreads, which a spread in a picture book is a 2-page full illustration situation. One of the spreads shows Tinker and the Kid in an underwater rover going into a lake and encountering all of these sea creatures that are below the surface. And one thing I've been trying to do as I'm working on these illustrations is from start to finish of an illustration, I have what if open so that I can make sure the illustrations I'm working on for book 2 match the aesthetic of the first book. And for this underwater spread, I wanted to draw inspiration from one of my favorite spreads in What If, which is this spread with all of these cavemen. It's the What If We Had Fire Dude spread. Because the underwater illustration for the new book, as I was thinking about how I wanted this new spread to look, I noticed there were a lot of similarities between this new spread and this spread, where I could draw a lot of inspiration from this one. So I thought it would be fun to show you guys the footage of me working on this and talk about how I draw inspiration or tie in these new illustrations to the old to create one cohesive universe between the two books. So the first connection that I made between these two illustrations is that they both have kind of a singular light source. With the cavemen, it's What If We Had Fire Dude? They got this big fire near the cavemen and then a smaller fire near Tinker and the Kid. And likewise for this new illustration, the underwater rover has this beam of light coming out the front that is illuminating all of the faces of these sea creatures below the surface. And then off to the right, you see that the rover has made some progress and there's a smaller light source coming out of the front of that tiny rover. So similar lighting situation where the majority of the spread is pretty dark, just because one's in a cave and one is underwater, but you have this light that is illuminating the area that I want the reader to focus in on in the illustration. In this case, I wanted the reader's eye to kind of hone in on Tinker and the Kid in the underwater rover, which one of the ways I did that was with that cone of light that's coming out of the underwater rover. It kind of almost works as a backwards arrow pointing toward the rover. And then there's all the sea creatures. All of them are looking in the direction of the underwater rover, which again draws your eye toward the rover. And something else that I took from this caveman spread was if you look at the cavemen, specifically at the wall above the cavemen, I shaded the wall by moving my pencil in this circular motion surrounding the cavemen. And then if you look at the underwater spread, I did the same thing with the lake water surrounding the rover. I used a circular motion, and by putting them in the center of that circular motion, that's just another visual indicator of, hey, this is where you're supposed to be looking within this illustration. At the time of me filming this, I have not finished the illustration that I'm working on, so I don't know exactly how I'm going to use the paper texture. I guess you'll find out because I'll be showing you the entire process. But with the caveman illustration, I used crumpled paper to create the texture of the wall of the cave. And I think I'll probably do something similar with the lake water surrounding the rover. Well, not just the rover, surrounding literally everything because it's all underwater. I do have this spread in What If, where you're looking at the surface of water. I might do something similar along the surface, just a torn edge of a piece of paper. But yeah, I really don't know. But you're finding out probably right this second. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the footage of me working on that. It might already be over. I don't know how much footage I have of that. And thank you for letting me talk for so long about my illustrations. I love to yap about making illustrations. So I hope it was nice. If you're still here, you must have at least enjoyed it a little bit, so You're a real one. Thank you.
Cheers to us. Have a good day now.